But if that wasn't enough, up comes the Metro I-5 toll lane. You know, I'm kind of giving away some of the stuff that we did before, but we had a presentation, and we'll show you some of it at the next meeting. We had a presentation from a gentleman who is a consultant that's doing the public outreach for the I-5 stuff, and he was trying to convince us of why the state doesn't have any money to build roads. And he went through this, and I just, you know, I was reaching my, oh, I can't take this anymore point. So I asked him a question. I said, I don't understand this. We just saw in the paper that the state collected billions of dollars in road tax, gasoline road tax. It said all-time record. They collected the most they've ever collected. And so what did the Board of Equalization do? Well, they raised it 3.5 cents. Well, okay, gee, maybe that's so they can break the record next year. I don't know. So I said, how come you don't have any money? And he said, well, you don't really understand how things work up here in Sacramento. And so he proceeded to give me this long discussion, hoping that by the time he finished, I would forget what we were talking about and wouldn't answer the question. But when he got all the way to the end, I said, well, yeah, you were right. You told me I'm right. They did this. My question to him was something to the effect of, have you ever done a study to find out what's the cost of building a road here in California compared to other parts of the country, right? And he said, well, yeah, I got to admit that building roads here in California are probably twice as expensive as the states in the middle of the country. And I asked him, don't you think that's the problem? Maybe that's why we're out of money. So, you know, because, well, I was saying this to someone before the meeting. You know, this last year I rode back to Sturgis and went to Montana. Montana, by the way, has a population less than Long Beach. And all their roads are in great shape. So they must be generating enough road tax to get the job done. But anyway, we attended the Metro meetings on February the 12th at City Hall and February the 28th at Rancho Pico Junior High. Oh, you were there. Weren't you there, Merle? Yeah. And Berta, were you there at Rancho Pico? No? The first meeting, they actually had 3 meetings. The one on February the 12th at City Hall was in the Orchard Room, and the attendance from the public was very large. And but all 3 meetings together, I talked to the engineer. He said there was about 75 residents, and he actually wanted to see more. And sometimes I got to feel sorry for the staff guys when they're just trying to tell people what they've been told to tell people, and they can't really justify it. So Metro says they're exploring options to accelerate construction of 13.5 miles of carpool lanes from the I-5 to SR-14 at Parker Road. So according to their figures, they're out of money. Metro's out of money. And they won't have enough money. It's actually 27 years to finance building those carpool lanes. So they're proposing to finish the project by 2019 by having vehicles with 1 or 2 passengers pay a toll to use the new lanes. And then the money raised would fund the cost of doing this.
Al?
Yeah.
Would then cars with more than 2 not have to pay the toll?
Well, no, I think it's 3 and over, unless you're on a motorcycle and then you can do it by yourself.
You have to buy a transponder.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that part. We'll get to that part. Yeah. So one of the things they said I thought was very interesting was they said the new lanes would be managed so that speeds do not fall below 45 miles per hour. How do you think they're going to do that? Well, they're going to do that by changing the requirements of whether you can be on the road or not by how much traffic is on the road. So they said, well, you know, the fees for using this would range somewhere between 25 cents a mile and $1.40 a mile. Well, that's a pretty big range, okay? And those fees are not set. So you can't say, oh yeah, I've got 3 people in my car, so this is what's going to cost, or I've got 1 person in my car, this is going to cost. But I'll go to the meeting and ask what happens if you have 5, but I think 3 is the most that they account for. And what's going to happen is they're going to try to manage this by understanding how much traffic is on the road. So if there's enough traffic that's on the road where it falls below 45 miles, as the road loads, they're going to charge you more to use it. And if it loads too heavily, they're going to tell you you can't use it if you only have 1 person. Or you can't use it if you only have 2 people. They're going to take usage away so that the road doesn't fall below 45 miles an hour with the people using it with the most rideability. So they're claiming that the lanes will add capacity to the I-5 freeway, which is expected to add more than 50,000 people by 2035 per OVOV. So my question was, you're going to add 50,000 people and you're expecting 1 lane to take care of the problem? Anyway, the new lane would provide a much faster and smoother commute when combined with the truck-only lanes being built on either side of the new haul pass. That is absolute nonsense. This is the kind of stuff that politicians do when they talk to you and don't want to give you a straight answer. Those truck lanes are already funded and they're already being built. So whether or not this new lane is there has nothing to do with the truck lanes. So the project is a phase scheduled to complete with private support. What they want to do is they want to find somebody, some company, that's willing to put up the money to do the construction. And then they're going to pay that company to operate the lane. That's the way it's going to work. And that is not going to depend upon how many people use it. That's going to depend upon what they negotiate the rate is going to be for the company to use it. What happens if it's doesn't self-supporting?
It gets subsidized by the
Well, if it's not, how they do it? They say, well, if it's not self-supporting, we're Metro and it's on us. What do you mean it's on you? Right? Who are you? That's us, right? It's our pocketbook, right? Okay. So that's what they say. So anyway, here's the 3 phases. The first phase is the new truck lane. Those are under construction. They are funded. This has nothing to do with the discussion. The only thing that has to do with the discussion is that phase 2A, the high occupancy vehicle lane. It would be done by FY 240 if they produced all the money. They have some of the money, and if they don't, if they do, it'll be 2018. And the extension back to the Kern County line, they have no idea when that's going to happen because they have no money. So this is their concept. Instead of waiting 30 years to build 13.5 miles of carpool lanes through the Santa Clarita area, concept is to finish by 2018. Have vehicles with 1, all hours, or 2, peak hours only, pay a toll to use the new lane. Well, here you go. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to be running down the freeway at 65 miles an hour, and you're going to see a sign. And the sign on the lane is going to tell you, oh, I'm 1 person, but I'm in a hurry, but too much traffic, I can't use it. Or it's going to tell you, if you want to use the lane to the next off-ramp out of the lane, and you've got 3 people in it, this is how much it costs. And if you want to use it all the way to the end of 13.5 miles, this is what it costs, and they may be different numbers. But that's okay because you can calculate all this and get all ready by the time you get on the freeway. Now what happens is, I don't know if I got a transponder chart here, but all this gets billed to you, and how much your transponder costs will depend upon how you're going to pay for it. So if you're going to pay with checks, it costs more than if you're going to give them a credit card and let them just throw the money on your card. So here they say Los Angeles County is expected to grow by additional 10% by 2035. The new lanes should provide a much faster and safer commute. Yes?
How are they going to tell how many people you have in your car? They have a scanner?
The transponder has a little thing that when you're alone, you turn it to alone. You have 1 person, you turn it to 1 person. You only have 2 people. When you have 2 people, you turn it to 2 people. 3 people, you turn it to 3 people. Or if you're on a motorcycle, you turn it to 3 people all the time. Simple.
So do kids count as people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They better. I count them as people.
I
Yes.
count them as people. They take up a seat.
Yes, they are. Yes, they count as people. Yeah. Okay, so I told them, I don't care if you build 5 lanes in that 13.5 mile. If you don't fix the Newhall Pass, it's not going to make any difference. Metro will not have the money to fund the building for 27 years. They are going to contract with a private firm. They're going to pay the contractor a set amount to build, operate, and maintain the lanes. If the tolls collector is insufficient to pay for the operation maintenance, it's going to be on Metro. Translation, it's going to empty your pocket. Speed management will be accomplished by charging more to use the road as traffic becomes congested. Tolls will therefore change constantly. However, they did say that when you enter the thing and your transponder first senses the first entry, whatever that number is at the time you enter is going to be the amount you pay for your entire trip. A digital sign will provide the cost prior to a vehicle entering the toll section. Tolls will vary on the number of riders from 25 cents per mile to $1.40. And transponders will be required to use the road, and the cost will vary on how you intend to pay. So you get this transponder, and it's got a little bit of rent attached to it, and depending upon your payment method is going to depend upon how much you pay. So I think, what does it mean? Using a lane is going to be costly, and while the population is planned to double, Metro will be providing 1 toll lane over 30 years, because if they don't have any money, and they're not going to have any money for 30 years, well, you know what? That means 1 lane for 30 years. That's all we get. So you can expect traffic to get a lot worse over time, and Metro has no real plan to alleviate I-5 traffic issues, and that's what we're going to say to them when we see them again. All that while, well, we already said this, all that while they collected a record high $8.3 billion in fuel taxes, and I thought fuel taxes were supposed to build roads. And then the Board of Equalization says, you know what, we collected a lot, so we're going to increase it to 3.5 cents, giving California highway drivers the highest fuel tax in the nation at 70.6 cents per gallon in combined state, local, and federal taxes. But don't worry about this, because we found out from Sacramento that when next year, when they are supposedly going to implement cap and trade, you can add another 50 cents to that. Next toll lane public meeting is Thursday, March 28th. I think you should be there and let them know what's going on. Staff guys, like I said, I feel a little sorry for them because they realize what they're trying to sell, and so don't beat them up too bad, but let them know what you think. The agenda will include a supplemental EIR reevaluation, and that mainly is a reevaluation to change from just a high occupancy vehicle lane to a toll lane, and they'll lay out the proposed tolling policy. So it's a chance to tell them what you think.
Al,
yes.
To be fair, I spoke with Victor Lindenheim on the bus. Lindenheim, I believe, is his name, and he's in charge of this I-5 Gateway project that has to do with this. And he said it's not a toll road.
Oh, it's not?
No, he said that if I remember his words right, it is a modified toll road. So I think that...
Well, I thought the actual term for this is an express lane.
Well, he told me it would be a modified toll road.
A modified toll road.
I asked him, if you build a road and we have to pay to use it, aren't you paying a toll? So that makes it a toll road. So he wasn't pleased with me. But he's a nice man, and it's his project, and he's very much protective of it and proponent of it. I think we should ask him to come here. Okay.
Yeah, we can do that, because that makes me feel a lot better. I'm sure it makes you feel a lot better, too.
Well, I think that, he has this point of view, and I
of course.
I enjoyed hearing it, and I think that we should do that here as well.
Right. He's a proponent of it, so we know.